Oh boy. So this story broke last night. This is in Vice. Watch the disturbing Kanye interview clips that Tucker Carlson didn't put on air. So apparently, Kanye did like a 2-hour rambling interview with Tucker, and, everybody assumed, well, they probably didn't edit anything, because it's not like the stuff that was shown was flattering to Kanye. I mean, the far-right bubble liked the stuff he said for the plain reason that he likes Trump, so now they like him. But it didn't look flattering to Kanye, so, nobody suspected, are they sitting on stuff that's more damning? But it turns out they indeed were sitting on stuff that's more damning. So Fox News made the editorial decision to take out the worst parts because they want to protect Kanye's image because now Kanye is a Trump guy. Wow. So they say here, the subheadline is, Motherboard obtained footage of Ye making bigoted statements about Jewish people and bizarre claims about, quote, fake children, as well as describing visions of kinetic energy cities sent him by God. See, that sentence doesn't even make sense. He described visions of kinetic energy cities sent him by God. What does that even mean, bro? All right, so we actually have the video. I will play the video for you. First, let me read a little bit of this. Fox News recently aired a 2-part interview between Tucker Carlson and Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West. Motherboard has obtained portions of the interview that were edited out of the final broadcast. These include numerous anti-Semitic sentiments from Ye, a strange and lengthy digression about fake children he claimed were planted in his house to manipulate his own children, and a statement that he's vaccinated against COVID-19. It's so interesting to see the specific things they left on the cutting room floor. So, the super anti-Semitic stuff gone, even though literally like a day later he went on an anti-Semitic rant on Twitter. And then also, they edited out that he was vaccinated. Oh man, talk about trying to pander to the audience as much as possible. Carlson used the interview, which was presented as a piece of landmark television, to hit on a few Fox News favorite boogeymen, with Ye's enthusiastic participation, the Clintons, former President Obama, COVID restrictions, and of course the Kardashians. But what the Tucker Carlson team chose to leave out is just as revealing. Okay, so let's watch these.
Every day we've been killing each other in the streets every day. One of the amazing things with Mayor...
Okay, so what you're going to see here is Kanye jumps from thought to thought in a seamless way. Like, he doesn't think in full sentences. He doesn't complete a thought. He just keeps cutting himself off. So this first part here, this first 8 seconds, this is stuff the Fox News audience would have eaten up, man. Are you kidding me? Basically, this is like the black-on-black violence thing. And Fox News viewers love to hear that black people kill black people, so black people are the problem. And so, I don't know who made this editorial decision, but this was red meat for the base that they could have kept this part in. This would have made him even more beloved by the audience.
As far as the murder rate has gone down. And you set that question up. You have more information about about what happened in the hospitals. So, in all honesty, I don't have the most facts, as many facts.
No, I mean in your life, like
so the
COVID vaccine, the being stuck inside. Like, what did you think of all that?
I was vaccinated. It was interesting. A friend of mine told me that.
So he says, I was vaccinated casually. But it's interesting because it looks like he didn't also go off on a side tangent about how the vaccine has microchips in it and like they're giving it to everybody to make them gay or something. And that's kind of surprising because obviously Kanye has gone down this black Hebrew Israelite track and he's like all into conspiracy theories, but somehow he missed the vaccine conspiracy theories. And so this is almost kind of like a pure moment in a sense. Because it's like, oh, okay, you're untainted by the vaccine conspiracy theories. Interesting, okay. Then we go to Kanye on Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics with the KKK.
Okay, hold on. A known eugenics. What he's trying to say is a known eugenicist. And that's actually accurate. This is actually a fact about the founder of Planned Parenthood. Now, That, of course, doesn't mean that, you know, all forms of birth control should be illegal and you should ban abortion starting, you know, from day one. That's not what that means, but certainly the history of Planned Parenthood and its inception is not, you know, pure, and it wasn't made for the right reasons and stuff. So just understand that what he said there is factually accurate. Anyway, continue.
Control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race black really are. This is who our people are, the blood of Christ. This, as a Christian, is my belief. And I believe that if we saw ourselves as more...
Okay, I would love to know what's going on in Tucker's head as he's listening to this. I mean, he probably thinks like, oh, this is going to be phenomenal TV, but also at the same time, he has to be thinking, this guy is out of his fucking mind. What was that middle part? What is he even saying?
Control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race black really are. This is who our people are.
Okay. I mean, how do you even respond to that? What, like, first of all, that none of that made any sense. Second of all, even if it did, who the fuck cares? Like, what are you saying, bro? Why does any of this matter? Why are you obsessed with this weirdness? Okay, got more for you.
Exactly what our culture is based on. Think about us judging each other on how white we could talk would be like, you know, a Jewish person judging another Jewish person on how...
Notice he loves bringing up Jews now. It's a go-to for Kanye now. He's got Jews on the mind. And then, of course, the next day he goes on Twitter and he says, like, I'm going DEFCON 3 on the Jews. Which, I mean, what? But also, it's DEFCON. It's not DEFCON. And I think the lower number is actually the bigger issue, right? Like, it would be DEFCON 1 would be the big... Anyway.
Good they danced. Or something. I mean, that's probably like a bad example. People are going to get mad at that shit. But...
No, Kanye, you're doing fine. Nobody's going to get mad at any of this.
Another thing that they do, that I probably want to edit that out. Probably not like that. Yeah. Okay, so, you know, I was talking to Ice Cube today, and we got really beat up in 2020 for saying we need to approach things a different way and not just be trauma drunk.
Right. Which
is a term that, God just hit me with in the past couple of days. We are no longer trauma drunk. We're no longer trauma drunk, and we're no longer trauma bonding, and we're no longer woke in the sense of what woke is, because woke is just complaining about racism, but not doing anything about it.
So this is the whole, like, trauma drunk is actually a good term, not gonna lie. It's actually a good term that in certain contexts it makes sense to use that phrase. But what he's getting at here is like, you know, hey, I, Kanye West, think black people complain too much about historical injustices, and we really need to just shut the fuck up and get our shit together, which is sort of like, you know, standard. It's conservative talking points 101, but obviously if this is coming from like an old pasty white guy saying it, everybody would call it racist. But with Kanye saying it, it's more palatable. If somebody from within the black community says like, hey man, like, we need to stop this black on black crime, and we need to stop being obsessed with slavery and whatnot, it tends to be a lot more palatable to people. And this is one of the reasons why Fox News would love to trot out any sort of influential black celebrity to make these kinds of arguments, because it helps bolster their points, where they could say, hey, I didn't even say it, it was Kanye West saying it. Kanye West says that black people need to get their shit together and stop complaining about slavery and stop bringing up Jim Crow and stop bringing up redlining and stop bringing up the war on drugs and mass incarceration, which disproportionately targets them. He said it, I didn't say it. So again, I'm shocked that this part was left out of the Fox News interview.
So what we're going to do about it is say, hey, you know what? Y'all not going to send nobody at me based on my opinion. You asked the question before. It drove me crazy to not be able to say that I like Trump.
We know, Kanye. We know you like Trump. The thing is, why do you like Trump? When asked that, of course, he doesn't bring up policies. He doesn't bring up his record. He has no idea what Trump did as president and what he didn't do as president. He doesn't know. It's all about this weird, like, narcissist to narcissist connection. And in fact, in the past, remember, I think he said one time, like, I like Trump because he has dragon energy and I'm dragon energy. It's like, okay, you're just admitting that it's because he's like a loud, abrasive asshole. Now, I concede, if somebody's a loud, abrasive asshole, but they're fighting for what I think are the right things, yeah, I probably will like that person. Because it's nice to have somebody aggressive who's on your team. But the fact of the matter is, Trump does not fight for good things. He did terrible things. He did tax cuts for the rich and tax cuts for corporations, and he outsourced jobs, and he randomly assassinated top Iranian commanders as they were fighting ISIS. He signed a pro-torture executive order. He served the predatory payday loan industry. I mean, I could go on and on here. You guys know my list. I go through it all the time. That's what he did. But this is what happens when you're like, you're not a serious thinker, but you try to get involved in politics. It's like, you just fall back on like character traits. And you talk about those as if those matter. As if those are the end-all be-all. Jesus, we still got more Kanye. Okay. All right.
I was biting my tongue on my political opinion because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering.
Oh, Kanye. Oh, man. Oh, shit. The classic, like, you know how the Jews are, bro. They're just really good with money and they do accounting and stuff like that. That's what they are. That's who they are, bro. So obviously, you know, that's what they do on Hanukkah, right? They do accounting. Jesus Christ.
Kwanzaa doesn't, you know, so they don't teach even Christmas itself, Christ Mass.
Okay, all right. More. There's still more. Kanye on Virgil. This one's a long one, I think.
At the end of the day,
speed it up.
We all know we have to answer to God.
No. No, we don't know that. No, we do not know that, Kanye. We don't. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the fuck happens when you die. It's probably the case that it's like permanent sleep. It just lights off. How does death feel to you? It probably feels the same as it felt, you know, living in 1923. What was that like? Oh, you don't know because you didn't exist. Well, you won't exist after your life too, right? Like, we all have to answer to God. Again, this is a guy who, I mean, I don't mean to beat up on him and go extra here, but like, this is a guy who claims he's a genius and he's brilliant. And then he says just incredibly asinine things.
Some of us in desperate times may grab a little bit too much of the Hennessy. I'll be specific. Arno, shout out. Thank you for making the Hennessy. It's delicious. That's an LVMH company. I'm kind of...
Bro, nobody know. Like, this is one of the things Kanye does in every interview he gives. Like, he's got all these things going on in his life. And he drops these, like, personal references as if other people know what the fuck he's referring to. Nobody knows what you're talking about, dude. He does this all the time. Like, he'll start talking about like an Adidas deal he had or a Gap deal he had, and he'll start name-dropping people who are involved in it behind the scenes, and he calls them by, like, their first names and expects everybody to know who the fuck they are. Like, nobody knows what you're talking about. I gotta reel it in just a little bit because I do feel like I'm beating up on somebody with mental illness. So, and it's undeniable that he has it. It's been reported previously. Anyway.
Very much so, and beefing with them right now because they killed my best friend, Virgil.
How did they kill Virgil?
First of all, they hired him. Well, do you want the, I'm trying to like give you the abbreviated story.
Yeah.
Okay. So Virgil was hired as my assistant and he ended up becoming one of my best friends because we traveled everywhere. We traveled to Japan. We interned in Italy at Fendi because we weren't accepted in Paris. And we started to gain momentum in the design world. And then Virgil did his own line called Off-White. And then I stopped doing the Kanye West line. I started doing the Yeezy line. And I did a licensing deal. I had a licensing deal with Adidas. I mean, we still have that deal. And we did this fashion show. That was it was like the most seen fashion show in history. So Bernardo, the head of LVMH, asked to meet with me. and he offered me a deal. But with the deal, they had to have ownership because they're colonizers. They're not there to just, hey, we're going to give you support and, you do the best thing you can. All these people, a lot of the VCs and a lot of these kind of companies, they have to have ownership. And Louis Vuitton had presented themselves in such a way to have so much real estate where a black man's dream come true would be to have that level of support from a company, because then we can go back into the neighborhood in our pink Cadillac, metaphorically.
Yeah.
The pink Cadillac was literally invented for that.
What the dude? What is this? What is this? Jesus Christ, man. Holy shit.
Google that. I don't feel we don't have enough time to talk about it right here. The Cadillac, that specifically color pink, is just like, so all of my design team wanted to work with Louis Vuitton. So Bernard Arnault shook my hand, said we're going to do the Kanye West deal at Louis Vuitton. And I was actually going to give him the lion's share, which thank God I didn't. 3 months later, they dropped the deal at the board. The next collection I do, season 2, we don't have anyone to support it because I had to have Adidas indemnify the collection. The third collection, we're there. Virgil's working with me. He's got his line, but he's my main employee, and he's running the Donda design group, and he's bringing in Heron Preston, and Matt Williams is working with me, and we have our crew. And we do this show at MSG, and it's like a big hit.
Remember, he said, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of this story. This is the Cliff Notes version. I would hate to hear the longer version.
Season 4, I did a show and it started late, and I was really depressed about that. Then a week later, Kim got robbed in Paris. Then I just tell Scooter, after I finished this, Scooter Braun was my manager at that time. I said, after I finish this leg of the tour, I need to just take a rest. I need to go to Japan. I love it in Japan. And Scooter's like, no, you have to do more touring. And 4 days into that tour, I was exhausted. I screamed from stage. I would have voted for Trump. This stuff. I was like, exhausted from everything at that time. Like the fashion show, my wife getting robbed, all these people telling me I couldn't say anything about Trump. It was just a lot. And I ended up in the hospital, and I wear that badge every conversation. I can be, put down for that. So Virgil is going on and, being more and more successful and clicking all the dots, all the boxes that a black designer or a black creator should click, more than anyone ever. He's basically like Michael Jordan. He is the Michael Jordan of fashion, literally. He's clicking all of these dots, and he gets the deal to be the head of men's design at Louis Vuitton, which is, aside from Hermes, is one of the most prestigious jobs in the world. And he goes in, and the product is selling. Virgil was actually the third person to die of cancer in that organization. So not just black men have passed in that organization, but the third person to die of cancer that was in a higher up position in that organization. And with Paris, it's a different level of elitism and racism. And Virgil was the kind of guy that he didn't hold it in. And I believe it ate him up from inside. And
how old was he?
40, early 40s. And people were like, what you mean you're best friends? You don't know the exact age? But I don't know the date.
He's a young man.
Yeah, he's a young man. So he, the level of racism, elitism, and pressure that he was under, I'm sure affected his health. And then at that point, also me and Virgil had a rivalry because he had taken my place in fashion. He now was Drake to the radio of what he was to fashion. And we had a strained relationship also. But the people...
What is the claim here that racist treatment and elitism led to cancer? Is that what he's trying to argue? Because that seems like it's what he's trying to argue. That's certainly the implication.
Took the most time with in my life is my mom, second, Kim, third, Virgil. Lost all three of them in some way at this point.
Yeah. Look, in a sense, people feel bad for you. Like, Kanye West has gotten more sympathy than most people. Who, let's say there's somebody who's not famous, who's not well known, who had the exact same track as Kanye West and acted equally as erratic. There wouldn't be nearly as much sympathy. So in a sense, he gets a lot of sympathy for what he's going through, because, yeah, he seems like he's alone. He's on an island in his own mind, and nobody could really stop the madness. But, like, at some point, it's like, dude, he's 40-something years old. Take your meds, dog. Take your meds and you'll be good. You'll be way better than you are. But oftentimes what happens is people like Kanye, who have severe bipolar disorder, they feel like when I take my medicine, I don't feel like myself. And they think it's taking away the edge that they have and the genius that they have. But really it doesn't, because this isn't genius. This is madness.
So I felt with Bernard Arnault, not only did he pull on the deal that contributed to me breaking down and go back on his word with that, he also went on to hire multiple people out of my organization.
Okay. This video is... I see why they cut this one out. All right. How many more do we got? This might be the last one. Let's see.
Any more?
I'll talk to him if I see him.
Yep.
But I guarantee you he see me. And I have visions that God gives me just over and over on community building and how to build these free energy, kinetic, fully kinetic energy communities where we impress, we put the least impression on the earth. We're not building the new New York skyline cockfight. That
what?
We are humble in the way that we present ourselves. We've got to rethink who we are as a species.
Oh, I don't even know what that means. Kinetic energy cities? What the fuck is he talking about? What is he talking about? All right, well, there you go. Fox News tried to hide this stuff. People are focusing less on the substance of what Kanye said here and more on the fact that Fox News is clearly trying to protect him. Kanye West has become a right-wing darling, and so Fox News is protecting that image because they want to be able to use his words to their advantage and to the Republican Party's advantage. But once he starts saying things that are, totally off the rails, once he goes full anti-Semite, then it becomes harder to take his other political utterances seriously. And if anything, he could, hurt the right. So they went into protection mode. Now, what happened? I thought that these guys, they claim we're fair and balanced and we do real news. This isn't real news. This is propaganda. And also, this is fucking censorship, is what it is. And so Kanye would be well within his rights to be pissed about it. Hey, why didn't you leave my whole thing? I'm a genius. So, I think this headline is correct. Disturbing Kanye interview clips indeed. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.